Hello and welcome back. And we're on Aghalee Farm again at the moment. I'm probably still mispronouncing that. I understand it's meant to be like like a pirate sort of goes kind of thing. I don't know, I can't get it properly. I don't have the right throat to make that sound. But yeah, it's spelled Aghalee, so it looks like Aghalee, but it's an Irish word, so it's not pronounced Aghalee, it's pronounced Aghalee, but you kind of get into the back of the throat more than I can, sort of thing, when you're saying it. Anyway, I thought I'd record this video because the last video I did didn't seem so popular, which is probably because it wasn't a farming video. Certainly my farming videos seem to be a lot more popular than my non-farming videos, so that's right. Not that I really watch the stats at all. In fact, I probably watch the stats least of anyone that does YouTube videos, but yeah, I do know that videos that I do of farming seem to be my most popular. Occasionally ones of where I'm driving around a neighbourhood or something in real life, recording real life things, that they seem to be quite popular as well. But videos of other games or anything like that, not so popular, so that's cool. I'm happy with that, doesn't worry me at all. Just there's little walking gates here don't open, so can't open those ones. Just going back, yeah, I think I left the tractor over in this field. I have made one big change to this this map, which I shall show you since we're going to this field anyway. So you might remember me saying that with this field here, with these big concrete gate posts here, I thought it felt kind of like this was meant to be more than just a field, certainly originally. So I had the old farmhouse in there, which was an old wooden one. I didn't really like that because I always felt it should be a stone farmhouse. So what I've done here now, I'll take you over and show you, I've changed this. So this is now the remains of an old stone farmhouse. As you can see, there's a door here, and there's some stone walls here and lots of loose stones. And when you're mowing around it, you need to be careful, because I've also put some bigger stones in the grass here like this. So if you're mowing the grass and things, there's stones all the way around there. You've got to be careful not to clip any of those with the mower, because if you do, then, well, in actual fact in the game, absolutely nothing would happen if you clipped these stones with a mower. It would make the mower bounce a wee bit, but it wouldn't cause any damage, I don't think. But the way I play the game, if I clip any of those stones with any farm equipment that matters, then I'm going to sell the farm equipment and replace it, treat it as broken beyond repair. If it clips one of those stones. You'll also notice, so I had on this farm the Masey 698T, so I've replaced that with this little tractor here. So I've now got two tractors on the farm, and they're both open cabin tractors, but with roll bars on them. This one and the little Masey is the other one that I've got. I just felt like having some open tractors on this farm. So yeah, that's what I've got. I've got this tractor and I've got the Masey. This one here is actually really a bit so small to be my big tractor on the farm, even though it is my big one. So I've got this weight on it here because that weight sort of pokes inwards rather than outwards from the clip, so it doesn't poke out too far from the front of the tractor. Most weights do, but this tractor's only 600, that weight's only 650. And so what it means is, like, for example, if I try and lift that piece of equipment there, see what happens here, the front of the tractor goes up instead, which doesn't matter because this piece of equipment has wheels on it, so I just leave it in the down position when I've got it on the back of this tractor, and it will just, so even driving on the road or whatever, I fold it up, I leave it in the down position, I don't lift it up, because I can't lift it up without the front of the tractor going up. So yeah, I tried, what's the other piece of equipment I put on here I was struggling with? I used the mower, and I had the mower, the Samaz mower on this tractor. So I originally had the weight, the chains weight on the front of this tractor, because I really like the look of that weight. And yeah, that just caused the same problem. The front of the tractor would just lift up in the air when I lifted the mower off the ground. Obviously I couldn't leave the mower down all the time, so I replaced the chains weight with this heavier weight. So the chains weight, I think from memory, is either 450 or 500. This weight here is 650, but this is the heaviest weight I can go on this tractor without having a weight that pokes out the front of the tractor a lot further. And because the yard on this farm is just so tight, I can't have a weight that pokes out any further than what this one does. Well, otherwise, I just can't get the tractor all around the yard where I need it and things. So yeah, this is the heaviest weight I can go with. So this tractor has exceedingly good reversing lights, exceedingly good. So it does have some benefits, even if it has some drawbacks as well. Probably the best reversing lights I've ever seen on any tractor, actually. This particular one. This tractor didn't come off the mod hub because it's not on there. But if anyone wants to try this tractor on FS22, if you just Google Same Argon, or Same Argon, I think it's called, yeah, Same Argon, so SAME and ARGON. There are a couple of different versions of it out there, and some of them work better than others. This is the only version I think that's out there where you have the option of putting a front loaders on the front if you want to. So I've chosen not to put front loaders on this one because it's my big tractor, so I have those on the small tractor, but I could if I wanted to. So yeah, just make sure you download the one that gives you the option of the front loader, and then you've got the same tractor as I've got. I do like this tractor. Just actually, to be perfectly honest, one of the reasons I really like this tractor is I think it's probably about the only tractor in the Farming Simulator game that's both an open cabin tractor and a modern tractor. And see, this farm here, I've actually got set in modern era, whereas most of mine are set in the 80s, that sort of thing. But yeah, this one here, so it's a modern tractor that's actually got the open cabin area. Mostly the modern tractors are all closed cabin, and the only open tractors you can get on Farming Simulator are older tractors, like from the 70s and the like. So this one's quite unique in that respect. There is also a new Holland T4 you can download that's an open tractor, but doesn't look quite as good as this one in my opinion, because it's still got all the grey plastic interior. So to me it's just too obvious it's actually the closed tractor that someone's just removed the cabin of, rather than a tractor that's designed as an open cabin one. This one is obviously designed as an open cabin one. It's got all the lights attached to the roll bar there. It's got the number plates attached to the roll bar. It's even got a mirror coming off the roll bar there, and that mirror does actually work, although you've got to turn to see it. But yeah, so this tractor, from what I can tell, is actually designed from the outset to be an open cabin tractor. Certainly appears to be the case. But as I said, it's a modern tractor, and of course all modern open cabin tractors would have roll bars, because I'm fairly certain that most countries in the world a roll bar would be necessary on an open tractor nowadays. You wouldn't be able to import the tractor into the country or something if it didn't have some sort of rollover protection. I mean, in New Zealand, even four-wheeled quad bikes have to have rollover protection nowadays. You can't have a quad bike with no rollover protection. So it's, I mean, that's funny with laws like that, because I mean, yes, things like rollover protection is obviously for your own good, but it seems kind of odd in a way that sometimes they regulate these sorts of things. You have to have it, rather than letting it be the responsibility of the person that owns the vehicle to install that sort of thing, making it essential. And I suppose, I mean, I know in America at one stage, I don't know if this is still the case, but I know back in, I think it was about the 80s, any convertible in America had to have roll bar by law, and I think some convertibles, they managed to style a roll bar into it that looked really, really good, but other convertibles, I think they were totally ruined by the look of them, by the installation of a roll bar. So to some degree, I'm saying to some degree, not entirely, I think things like that should be up to the owner whether they want to install that or not, rather than having it compulsory by law. Now, a really, really good example of that, actually, I can talk about New Zealand. Okay, in New Zealand, one of the bigger universities is down in Dunedin. Okay, and Dunedin is in the South Island, so it gets pretty cold, it snows and things. And there always used to be these really, really cheap flats for uni students, and sometimes they were pretty rough. There might even be holes in the walls and things like this, but they were really, really cheap. So if you were at university, you could actually afford to rent them. Well, the law in New Zealand's changed over the years, and nowadays every rental property has to have certain levels of insulation and things, and heating and things like that in it. Now, I kind of get that in a way, because it's trying to ensure that everyone lives in a house that's up to a certain standard, although in actual fact the law is kind of let down in a way by that respect, because yes, every rental property in New Zealand has to be fully insulated, ceilings, floor, walls, etc. Plus it has to have heating, like a heater or whatever. But if you own the property, you don't have to have those things unless you're trying to rent it out. So in actual fact, you could have someone who buys a cheap house, doesn't insulate it because they don't have the money straight away, doesn't have heating and things, and that's all perfectly legal. Nothing illegal about that whatsoever. Anyway, going back to these rental properties for a second, yes, I understand what the government's trying to do by making it essential to have heating and insulation in every rental property, but in a way it also misses the point in that these are cheap digs for the university students, and obviously when a landlord has to put in insulation and things and they get no option of it, they absolutely have to do it because it's the law, all they do is they pass the costs of these sorts of things onto the tenants. So therefore all the rental properties end up being more expensive, and you get people that can't afford to rent properties because the rents are also expensive. Whereas if you had properties that perhaps weren't so well insulated and things like that, like all these flats in Dunedin used to be, then you had the choice. If you wanted a fully insulated property and you were prepared to pay for that, then absolutely you could have it. But if you were trying to save money because you're on a pretty strict budget when you're at university and things, then you had the option of perhaps having a not so nice property and not paying as much rent to have it. And so I do think it's quite good to actually in some ways let people have those choices like that. Actually, I'm way further over there than I need to be, so we'll go back and do that bit again. Yeah, in fact I'm going to have a bit of problems here, I suspect, because around that tree I'm not going to get on that side of that. We'll deal with that when we get there though. No need to worry about something before it happens. So yeah, so although like I agree with laws to protect people to some degree, so for an example we have laws that you're not allowed to text while you're driving. I totally agree with that law, because if you're texting while you're driving, you're not only putting your own life at risk, but you're putting other innocent people at risk as well. So I completely agree with that law. But with laws where the only person that you're potentially harming is yourself, in some degree I think let people decide for themselves how much risk they're willing to take in order to save money or whatever. So if you wanted to buy a cheaper tractor that didn't have rollover protection and things, and you decided you didn't need that because you lived on a flat farm, for an example, then why shouldn't you be allowed to save some money by having a tractor that doesn't have rollover protection, since if you're farming on the flat you probably don't really need it. But if you're farming where there's hills, and certainly there's some hills on this farm that I'm on right now, then you'd probably want to spring for the extra money for the rollover protection. But yeah, it just seems to me, well I know in New Zealand at any rate, you don't get any choice about that. They're not allowed to sell you a tractor that doesn't have rollover protection installed, and I suspect that's probably the same in most countries in the world now. I just think it's a wee bit silly personally, because it's forcing people to spend that extra money when they may not have the need to do so because they're farming on the flat and things. Now, if you're buying a tractor just to run lawnmowers around football fields, for example, well, football fields are always flat. The chances of actually rolling the tractor that's used only for mowing football fields must surely be very, very close to zero. So why do you want to incur the extra expense of paying for rollover protection that you don't really need? Anyway, that's my talk on that. I didn't even plan to talk about that, but I just thought I'd mention it because I've changed up to this tractor on this farm. And yeah, I noticed this tractor had that rollover protection, which I'm pretty sure would be compulsory. So I would be interested to know though if anyone else has any FS22 tractors that are both open cabin and a modern tractor. So we're not talking about a Masey Ferguson from the 70s or one of the old Ursus tractors, which are also from the 60s and 70s. Okay, but if you've got any links or anything of modern tractors that are open cabin, I'll be interested to see what there is out there, because this is the only one I could find, apart from, as I said, the new Holland T4, which I kind of didn't really go for because it's too obvious. It's not really an open cabin tractor. It's just someone's taken the closed cabin modded tractor and then removed the cabin, and they've left all the grey plastic interior in place, and it just makes it look like it's not actually meant to be an open cabin tractor at all. Okay, so that's why I said I wasn't going to be able to get in with the tree there, and sure enough I won't be able to. And now we'll just skip around the other side of the tree. You can see how I'm not lifting this like I would normally. I'm just leaving it in the down position all the time, and that's because of course I can't lift it without lifting the front wheels of the tractor off the ground. Even with this weight on it, when I put that Same Argon on the back, with the new weight on it here, it does leave the front wheels on the ground, but boy, she's pretty light in the front end still, and you get on a bumpy track or something and the front starts to bounce up a bit, so you've got to take it pretty slowly with this tractor, because obviously if the front was bouncing off the ground too much, not only have you not got any control while the front wheels are off the ground, but if it came down with a thud, I'm sure you'd be breaking things in the suspension and steering. I'm absolutely certain of that. So you couldn't just be racing around letting the front end of the tractor bounce on and off the ground all the time, because it would work out being very, very expensive for you. Okay, almost finished raking this field now. I have got one other field next door to rake as well, but I won't do them both on video. I'll maybe finish this one on video, maybe not. So yeah, I sort of didn't really have anything in particular planned to talk about in this video. I just thought I should do another video because, as I said, the last one I did wasn't a farming video, and so those ones I know aren't as popular as my farming videos, so I thought, oh, I should probably drop another farming video for people that are holding out for such. So here it is, and I'll just finish down here, and then I'll go up the end of that last bit that I kind of skipped past there, and that'll be this field all raked up, ready to bale up, and I will be making silage bales from this field and the one next door. So yeah, and this rake, as you can see, because it has got the wheels there, it tends to sit exactly where it's meant to and go exactly where it's meant to, even when I'm not raising it and lowering it. Okay, and I might just try and do a bit of a trick here so I can make one thing with all of this. Go down like that, and then stop. And then I need to move it. Oh, sorry, didn't mean for it to go that way then. That's alright. Back around here. As you can tell, I'm no real farmer, so I'm sure I shouldn't be driving over all of those things. Now, bring that up like that. Okay. Now I should be able to just make one line out of all those bits and pieces. Oh, yes, got it. Okay, and then there's a wee bit up the other end of the field as well, I think. And then I'm done. So, interesting to know what people think of my stone building that I put down there or the stone ruins I put down there to replace the wooden building rig that I had there. At the end of the day, most people probably won't like the stone one because I know it's made out of stone wall pieces and loose stone pieces rather than actual building pieces, but I prefer it simply because to me the building this there should be made of stone, not made of wood. So that wooden one that I had there just never sat right with me, even though it's probably more of a building wreck. It just didn't sit right being made of wood, because I felt like no, it should really be stone, not wood. So now it is. And what I might do the same thing here as I did over there. Do a little run here to move it over closer, then go back and do it again into that other one. I put that tree in that field too. The map didn't have it there already, so I put it in. Now I find it's getting in the way, but there you have it. I mean, I like having trees in the middle of the field sometimes, and if you're using a field for putting cows on or something like that, it will often have trees in it, so that the cows have somewhere to get some shade from the sun from, I believe. I mean, that's what I've observed. Yeah, got to fold that up so we can go down to the next field, and I will call that a day for this video, and I'll go and rake up the other field off camera. Okay, thank you all very much. Bye.